Hey, Master D coming at you with a video about my Char Griller 980. I got it to use at my family's lake house. We go there 3 times a year, and I wanted something that, I wouldn't have to put too much time into. It could just do itself, but I wanted indirect cooking. I've got my pit barrel cooker there, and I'm going to have this there. But the thing was, it's got to come in and out of the cabin and go over a lot of rough terrain to get to where it needs to go for level ground. So I decided, I would like this thing to have some better wheels than the ones that it comes with. And if any of you have the Char Griller 980, you know that the wheels aren't the best. And it's a bit of a flimsy sort of situation. So I thought, I need to put this thing on a cart. I started by purchasing such a cart from Harbor Freight. You see the picture up there with tax. I think it was about $95. So not a huge investment. And, then I was thinking to myself, well, I watched the Cookout Coach's video on how he put his on a cart, and he thought that it was kind of like high in relationship to him. You want the grate to be sort of here so you can sort of lean into it. And I thought, well, we're gonna have to cut down the legs some and do a lot more mechanical stuff than I feel entirely comfortable with. So I called in my friend Tim, who is super mechanically gifted. He worked in airplane mechanics for years and years and years. And, I got the legs off mostly by myself. He came over and had to Dremel off a screw that I bent. I think maybe, managing the legs around. But we got that off. And then, the next morning, I get to his house and he's almost done everything already, putting together the sort of mechanical part about how the legs were going to connect to the cart. And he uses a lot of technical language, but here's a little bit of how he explained it.
The garden cart was approximately 12 inches high. So if we had room, we needed to remove 12 inches out of the leg on your grill. Okay? So basically we're deducting from the legs, adding the height of the cart so that we end up with the net height being the same, or as close to the same as possible. The challenge with this is that we have a firebox on one end that's going to consume some room. And then also, all of the legs are put on at an angle. The fact that they're all angled makes it a little more difficult to plan out where the connections are going to be made to the sides of the cart. We knew that we wanted 10¼ inches off of one end so that the firebox would be completely hanging over the cart, since that's where a lot of the weight is. But from beyond that, where do the legs fall? Okay, so we started on this end at 10¼ bolted on our plates. That's 1/4 inch steel plate, using 5/16 bolts, nuts, and lock washers. We also decided to go with a axle configuration, because that way all we needed to do was to clip the leg and to drill a hole through using the same angle that was initially drilled in the original leg. Okay. So once that side was done, we measured the length of the fasteners, the distance between the fasteners.
This one.
And that one.
Do you remember what it was?
It was 29, and I think it ended up coming out being like 29¼ inches. I think 29 3/8 was a little wide, so like 29¼ So the two wooden balusters that you see, the two pieces of wood that you see, those holes are drilled in there, and there's screws in it to basically hold the legs in position that they would be on the barrel. So basically the wood is the barrel. By doing that and by installing the gravity nameplate, then we were able to make a determination on where the second set of legs would fall on the cart. And that's how that location was arrived at. We used the exact same method, 1/4-inch plates, 5/16 bolts, locks and nuts.
So basically you started from getting this the correct distance, and then put it on and then made the distance from there to there
exactly
what it should be.
Because of the preset geometry, if we get this distance, okay, that extrapolates and gives us the distance down to the bottom of the leg.
So we got the cart together next. And then after that, we took it all back over to my house, and we had to get the barrel back on the cart. We widened these holes just so that we have a little bit of give when we're fitting it to the barrel. Just because we measured this, but we're not entirely sure if we got it exactly right. We started by putting one side on, and then we lifted it up, and we were putting the other side on. And as he explained, you know, there's some movement in those legs being on the axle, and sort of jiggling those around and getting the screws in the right place was a little bit harder than I thought it'd be. You know, but we worked it out, and it certainly helped that there were two of us there to get that worked out. And then once we got that secured, we put back in the internal components, and that was it. You know, and to sort of inaugurate it, I decided to cook a chicken a few days later, and you know, I fired it up and did the chicken, and you know, it was good. All right, let's get the chicken out. Ooh, that looks pretty. Wow. Oh Lord, I think they're coming off already. It's only hanging on by a little bit there. All right, yeah, that looks good. All right, let's go get this baby cut up. It was good. Now, another person put out a video on putting his on a cart, and he said that the back end was sort of like doing a wheelie on him, but that was not our situation, and I think it's because we moved the fire chute sort of closer to the axle, so this is a little bit closer to being on the axle, and shifting it over like we did on our cart, which has more room, I think helped with that situation. But if there was one thing, you know, that I think that wasn't super good, maybe I would have taken off a couple more inches. And I don't know if, like, you know, where the cart is, and the firebox where it bottoms out, if that would have been an issue, you know, right there. But the center of gravity is kind of high, so when I roll it around, there's this feeling like, you know, I could push it and it might fall over, and so it's not super safe, and it's just something we're gonna have to watch. You know, the kids can't play with it. It's not a toy, right? But yeah, I do wish the center of gravity was a little bit lower. I do wish that it didn't feel like it was gonna topple. So just one thing to watch out for and consider if you decide to use this method to put your Char Griller 980 on a cart. Thanks for watching, you know, and as always, go get your smoke on, y'all.